We are back. Here we go again, Craig. Hey, we're getting close to number 50. You realize
We
that?
are, yeah.
Our 50th episode?
We're
Really close.
definitely in the mid to upper 40s. I haven't counted. It's been
Yeah.
a while, but yeah, especially since we're on season 2 now. So yeah.
Yeah. We got to go back and count. I propose that we do something different. I mean, we try to do different every week, but something, maybe we'll do a 50th anniversary or 50th episode, not 50th anniversary. We're not that old. 50th anniversary, 50th episode kind of thing, special episode. We'll
Can
see.
you imagine a podcast in its 50th year? Man,
It's
you
going to
want to
happen
talk about
someday.
on the forefront. Yeah. Yeah,
I
certainly.
guess. I don't know if anybody can last 50 years.
I know. That's just it. That would be quite a feat.
Quite a feat. All right, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk. Last week we ended the show saying we got Record Store Day coming up in a couple of weeks in April, and by the time this episode comes out, it'll be just around the corner. You and I have a love-hate relationship, and maybe hate's too strong of a word, but there are things about Record Store Day we don't love. We don't need to go back through that again. But
Right.
there's always stuff that we're intrigued by. There are releases that we looked at for this one that we both said, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Probably will buy that at some point. So we're going to go through our 10 favorites that we found on the list for the new Record Store Day. Doesn't mean we're going to buy it the day it comes out. We
Yep.
might wait until it hits Discogs because we may not even find a version of it. Some of the ones I have are on my list are pretty rare, 1,000 or less copies. So I'm not expecting I'll even find it.
Yeah.
But these are the 10 that I want to have and the 10 that you want to have at some point.
Cool. Okay.
So, all right. So you're going to jump in. You're going to do your 10. You're going to rattle through yours. We'll just plow through it. Your 10, then I'll do my 10, and then we'll do a couple other fun things.
All right. Cool. All right. So I'm going to go from 10 to 1, obviously. Hang you in a little bit of suspense. All right. So the first one is not one that it's one I'm curious about because there's a ton of re-releases for it, and it's definitely a band that we have talked about on numerous occasions. But it's the Replacements are doing a special 2 LP edition of Tim. That's going to have 6,000 copies. I'm just curious to what that's going to be like compared to the other reissues. So I'm curious about that. Number 9 is a band. I have not listened to this band in forever, but I loved these guys in the cassette days, if that tells you how far back. But Camper Van Beethoven is releasing a Telephone Victory Landslide, which I love that album back in the day. 1,500 copies on a single LP. Number 9, he's in every list probably, but Elvis Costello is releasing King of America live at Royal Albert Hall. Look, I'm not a live guy. You know that. I think I've said that on this podcast. I know I've said it on the Schizophrenic Music Podcast, but I'm curious about this because the King of America, if this is the era of that album, man, he played with a band called the Federalists on that album, and it's just blistering. A lot of it's like bluegrass and country, and it is so good. So I'm curious to hear what that sounds like live. So anyway, that's also 2 LP 2000 edition. Number 7 for me is one that I'm curious about. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I just think they're going to re-release it, but we will see. I'm going to keep my eye on it. But it's Jerry Mulligan with Thelonious Monk called Mulligan Meets Monk 3000. That's a classic album. If you've not heard that, it is.
I haven't.
It's superb. I mean,
It caught my eye, but I didn't put it in my top 10, but it caught my eye. While you're still talking, I'm going to go. I was going to look at my album collection really fast. Was the Camper Van Beethoven, that Telephone Landslide, was that already released before? I feel like I have that.
You probably have. Yeah, you probably have. It's been released on vinyl before, for sure.
It has. Okay. All right,
Yep.
keep going.
Well, this next one, I'm curious to get your thoughts on. This is one of those bands that I think Kevin sent me a screenshot one day of something that came through on a shuffle. And I just thought, I've never listened to that album. And honestly, and this goes back to the 90s, but it's the band Dada, and the album is Puzzle. I think that's their first. I think that's Dada's first album. That's the album that's got I'm Going to Disneyland. 1,700 issues of this, 2 LPs. That album, if you've not listened to Dada's Puzzle, it is excellent. Those guys are great musicians, great guitar players, and just write one hell of a catchy tune. So, very curious about that. I would say that from 5 on to 1 are things that I'm seriously considering. Number 5 is Mark Knopfler's One Take Radio Sessions, single LP. There's 3,000 being released. If you've not listened to Mark Knopfler's solo stuff, it's port sipping on a Sunday, chill out, super chill. The guitar
Really good.
playing is as good as it is with the. I prefer it over Dire Straits. I do. He's
I
awesome.
he turned a corner with his solo stuff. Sailing to Philadelphia.
Oh my
There's the
gosh.
one album called Red something or Red Crimson
Yeah,
Kill to
yeah.
Get Crimson.
Yep.
Oh, love that album.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Shangri-La is
That's
great too. Sailing to
yeah.
Philadelphia was the one where I was like, "Ooh, man,
Yeah.
this is radio
He's back.
sessions." So you can imagine it's just him, a guitar, and it's full band. I take that back, but it's
Okay.
just you really What I love about radio sessions is they're real clean. They're no nonsense. Get out, very clean production. Just a great performance. All right, so from here on out, I think these next 4 are definites. So number 4, House of Love. It's the self-titled House of Love album. Now there's 2. This one's got 1,000. I have no clue which self-titled album they're releasing. I don't care. It could be the one with them on the cover, the one with the butterfly. I think they're both stellar albums. Definitely picking that up.
Yeah, because there's 2 albums called The House of Love by The House of Love, right?
Yeah.
And there's but this one I was reading the description, it sounds like this is a collection of maybe some B-sides and some other things. I thought I read that.
Okay. It's a
Spoiler alert.
single LP, so that'll be interesting. And the
Yeah.
fact that they call it House of Love, come on, how dare you do that 3 times?
Yeah, you can't I mean, it sounded like it was a originally German only release. I just recall reading that real quickly. I could be wrong about it. Spoiler alert, it is on my top 10, so I'm in the same boat with you.
All
Need to
right.
have it.
Number 3, definite for me. You can't see it here, but I have a framed promo that I got from I think from I'm trying to think of can't think of the label, of course, but of the Gladiators, legendary reggae group. They should be in the same vein as Culture, Israel Vibration. I'm just a big fan of roots reggae. This is called Roots Natty. I think it's unreleased stuff from their heyday, late 70s, early 80s. I'm all over that. Pretty much anything Albert Griffiths, which is the main guy from the Gladiators, anything he's a part of, I want it. Great voice. The next one might surprise you, but I love this album, and I'm so glad it's being re-released because if I have it on wax, I'll listen to it more. But it's The Mission. The album is Neverland, and this one's got bonus tracks. It's 2 LP, limited to 1,000. Telling you, if you've never listened to The Mission Neverland, it is so good. The very first song is called Wasteland, and to me, it's one of my favorite opening tracks of all time. So good. All right, and number 1, I'll be shocked if this is not in your top 5 or potentially not your number 1, but that's the Grays Rochambeau. That is finally.
Actually, I missed that.
That's
I didn't even
finally.
see that on my list.
Yeah, it's finally being issued on vinyl. 1,300.
Yeah.
I feel like 1,300. I'm on the fence. Is that a lot or is that not enough? Because Faulkner hasn't been in the limelight for a long time, and he's to me a very, very underrated solo artist, musician. Played with Jellyfish. His solo work I put up there with any singer-songwriter out there. He is just brilliant. If you like it poppy, snappy, and you like unpredictability, because each and every song there's all these twists and turns. But he's making a solid living. I think he's still touring with Beck. Just a phenomenal artist. And I have been waiting for this album. I've been looking for this forever. 1 LP, 1,300, Rochambeau. I know you want it, so you might want to go ahead and edit your list.
Yeah. Okay. So now I have a top 11 list. So that's going to be interesting. All right. Well, here, I'm going to go through mine. And I don't have mine necessarily in order because all of these I pretty much want. So it's a little bit difficult, but I will say the one I really want the most for last. But for me, just going down the list. Ralph Stanley, Man of Constant Sorrow. I love Ralph Stanley.
Yeah.
Love, if, for those who don't know, bluegrass legend.
Yep.
Maybe only Bill Monroe is more accomplished in terms of the bluegrass world than Ralph Stanley. So that would be a big one for me. There's a Various album that just caught my attention called Heartache in Your Hand, Startime Country, limited to 850 copies, that I am just intrigued by because I think it's all Texas country singers, maybe from the 70s. Looks like a pretty cool collection. I'm going to have to get my hands on that. Along those same lines, various artists, I guess would be number 8 for me, would be Soul Slabs, Coal Mine, Volume 4. I have
Yep.
the other versions. For
Mm.
those that don't know, we love Coal Mine. This is a collection of 45s, so it's the best way to get all of them on a record, on an album. And so I'm going to be all over that when it comes out. So that's number 8. Let's see, number 7, just going The House of Love for me. I also have that on my list. So that's the only one that you and I match up on, other than now the Grays album.
Okay.
Number 6 for me, I don't have to have this because I think I own all of it, but I love the idea of this being released on vinyl. There's only 1,000, so I don't know. It's going to be really expensive, I think. It's 4 LPs, Oasis, Time Flies, which is their greatest hits collection.
Yep.
I would really like to have that, but I'm going to wait and see how much that one is. Number 6 for me, I'm surprised this wasn't on your list, but it's maybe because you have it already. Pale Saints, Slow Buildings.
Yeah, it's not a great album.
It's not, you don't love it? Not as much as
So the first two are excellent, but the
Yeah.
lead singer had left the band, so it's all pretty much the female vocalist. It's not bad, but it's not the same Pale Saints.
All right. I need to go listen to it. I thought there was a song in there that I really liked, but I don't know that I've ever listened to the entire album. I was going more by loving the band. Next for me, speaking of loving the band, and I don't know that I'll get this honestly, but I'm intrigued by it because I love them, is Dokken, Beast from the East. But it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
what we've
yeah.
talked about before.
It's
Heavy metal on vinyl, I just don't listen to it a lot, but I do love Dokken.
I bought that by accident on CD. Well, I say by accident. It's live.
Yeah.
It's a live album. It's good. I think it came out around the same time as Back for the Attack. Around that same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did. It did. I think it came out after Back for the Attack. I had it on cassette way back in the day. So we'll look at that one maybe. All right, my final 3, and I'll just go what I think is sort of in order. I love all things Finn, Neil Finn, Tim Finn, Liam Finn, Crowded
Yep.
House, Split Ends, Finn Brothers, you name it.
Yep.
And so for me, Neil Finn, Sessions at West 54th. I love Neil Finn. He is one of my favorite songwriters.
He's great.
And so getting Neil Finn on vinyl, I think they'll do it right. I think it'll be a great sounding record. So that's on there. The next one, number 2 for me, is actually a box set. It's going to be really expensive, 5 LPs. I don't have to have it, but if the price is right, I do love a lot of their stuff. Is the Blasters.
Oh, wow.
They were a great band,
Yep.
late 70s, early 80s on Slash Records, kind of in the vein of, if you like Los Lobos and things like that. It was, I don't know, country punk, country rock punk maybe.
Mhm.
And I've always liked the Blasters. So I do want to get that because it's a complete, I think it's called complete studio recording. So it'd be everything. I think that would be really cool. But for me, number 1 is the Better Than Ezra release, How Does Your Garden Grow? I'm not as familiar with that album. The first 2 albums I absolutely love, close to 10 out of 10 for both of those first 2. There's some stuff I need to re-listen to, How Does Your Garden Grow? But I absolutely want to own this on vinyl. Only 1,800 will be pressed. I think that one will move really fast. And so that's one that I'll jump all over. There's a few others out there that I liked, but they're printing so many copies of it, pressing so many copies of it, like the Hindu Love Gods. It's not a must for me.
Right.
But I love Warren Zevon, and I love the fact that it's the REM band members.
Yeah.
But 5,000 copies, I think that one will be around and be able to go look at it on Discogs in a week or 2.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our list. Good. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we should wrap up like we've done in the past, post record store day, come back and talk about the ones that we actually did get and what we paid for it and so forth.
Yeah, I'm pretty picky, so I would say max for me would probably be 4 or 5 off my list.
Yeah.
Probably more realistically 2 or 3. Like I said, definitely the Grays, definitely that Mission album. I'm curious about some other things. You mentioned the Finn. They did a Neil Finn and a Tim Finn too, right? There were 2 Finn releases, I want to say.
Oh, Liam, his son.
Liam? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which I own a lot of. I own 3 of his albums on vinyl. I haven't even listened to this one that they're releasing, so I need to go check it out first. We'll see. I like him a lot.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't know what the new album is going to sound like if it's a departure from some of the earlier stuff. But I would eventually get that one. That doesn't, but that one seems more like that album's going to be released anyway, so I'm not sure I'm going to pay a premium for it
Yeah.
on Record Store Day. I
That's what I
may
was saying
may
about
sit
a
back.
couple on my list too. Is
Yeah,
they're gonna release that Tim. They're gonna
yeah.
release a lot of that stuff. I think they'll definitely
Oh yeah,
re-release the Mulligan and the Monk too. I'm just curious to what they
yeah.
do with the Record Store Day. Is it going to be a special color edition? Because that's the thing. They give you the limited quantity. They tell you if it is vinyl, LP, 2 LP, that kind of thing, CD. If it's an exclusive, if it's a first, that kind of thing. But a lot of times they don't tell you if it's a colored edition, like a
Right,
variant,
right.
which I kind of like. It's a nice surprise. So we'll see. And so if they've got some really cool colors, variants, then maybe I'll pull the trigger. But more than likely, I think I'm just going to stick to the 2 or 3.
The Grays album, what'll be interesting if they put the hype sticker on there referencing jellyfish, I
Yeah,
think it'll sell faster.
yeah,
If they don't reference jellyfish, no one's gonna know anything. No one's ever heard of that band except for you and me and the other jellyfish fanatics out there. But if they slap the hype sticker on there referencing jellyfish, that one will probably move. I'm gonna jump on that one. I didn't even notice that one, so I'm
yeah.
glad you brought that up.
That's a definite one. And if it's anything like the Eric Matthews, I know you're an Eric Matthews fan.
Yeah.
Hit that album, it's getting heavy in here. That album is just stellar. Faulkner's actually on that album, plays on a couple of songs, and he released I think 3 different color variants, and they were all limited to like 200-300, and you can still find those for $20 all day. So because people just didn't know them, and it's a shame. It's a crime, really. But
I have to show you this really fast before we move on, talking about Camper Van Beethoven. I don't have that other release, so I
you've
was
got key
wrong
lime
about that.
pie, I can tell.
I've
Yeah.
got yeah, I've got 3 of their releases, but not the one you referenced. But yeah, this one's cool though because it's autographed by David Lowery.
Nice.
So love that. My daughter actually was in one of his classes at UGA and at one of his music business classes. He's a professor at University of Georgia.
Yeah.
So on our last day of class, I said, wait till the end, wait till you take your final, you have your grades, take my album in and see if he'll sign it. And she said, he was really cool. He asked everyone throughout the semester to call him Lowry. Just don't call me Professor Lowry or David Lowry. Just call me Lowry. Said he
That's
was a really cool dude.
that's a
Yeah.
good sidebar actually for bands, the original band versus the follow-up band. And this is
Yeah.
one where I am firmly in the follow-up band. I love Cracker. I think Cracker's
Yeah.
I think those the first 3 Cracker albums are stellar. I really do.
You need to come to Athens next year because they do, he does it's called a camp in,
Yeah.
and David Lowery does 3 nights and he does different shows, but it's mostly around Cracker. I think they probably do some camper also,
Yep.
but that'd be a fun outing for the 2 of us next year.
Yeah, I would totally go to that. I think another one too I was mentioned, and we'll move on. But it's cooler to be a camper fan than it is a Cracker fan. I don't care. I'm more of a Cracker fan. Same thing with Sugar and Husker Du. I'm a Sugar fan. I like Sugar far more than I like Husker Du, and I know that's not popular, but yeah. Did I lose your camera?
For a second you did. This is a part of the making of the sausage. I'm shifting. I was getting a bad connection.
Oh, okay.
All right. As I say each week, we are back. I am back. I had to shift. I don't know what was going on. I was getting some kind of feedback on my end, so I wanted to move over.
Interesting.
Okay. I have a special surprise. Let me grab the book. I thought we would do today, similar to what we did last week, but this time with 1985. I want to run down the list of top 10 songs from April of 1985, UK
Okay.
and US. And I'm curious, my theory is that we're going to know a lot of these songs, obviously more so than the ones from the 70s, but
Right.
also that I think there's going to be more. I think there'll be more stuff that is comparable on both sides of the ocean by this point because of MTV. I think it was more of a global market at that point versus the 70s. UK listening and bands were a lot different from the US. And I feel by the mid 80s, we were all starting to listen to the same thing. So we'll see if that theory holds true here in a second.
Okay.
Because the other times that we've done this, we've noticed that there's almost nothing in the top 10 UK that's also top 10 US. It's completely different.
It's been
And
surprising.
and the artists are completely different. I think we're going to see more. So let's see. We're going to test it out here. So I'm
Cool.
going to go down the list. I'm going to start with the UK. This is the top 10 UK singles for April of 1985.
Okay.
Number 1 is Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Tears for Fears in
Nice.
the UK.
Yep.
Number 2, Easy Lover, Phil Bailey and Phil Collins.
Yep.
Love that song. By the way, I love Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I should have said that.
Yeah, me too.
So number 3, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
Yep. Yep.
Number 4, We Close Our Eyes, Go West.
Okay.
Great song.
Yep.
Number 5, Move Closer by Phyllis Nelson. Have no idea who that is. Never heard of Phyllis
Wow. Yeah.
Nelson.
Same here.
No idea.
Yeah.
Number 6, oh, I think I've heard of this before. We Are the World, USA for Africa was number 6.
Yeah.
Number 7, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love by David Grant and Jackie Graham. I know that song, but I don't know either of those artists. David
Yeah.
Grant.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I'm thinking of a different version. I don't know. I'd have to hear it.
Here is a title I'm going to butcher, but it's Pi Jesu by Sarah Brightman and Paul Miles Kingston.
I can guarantee that
definitely
will
didn't
not
make
be
the
on
top
the
10.
US edition. Yeah.
Guaranteed. There's
Guaranteed.
already 2. Phyllis Nelson, guaranteed it won't be in the top 10.
Yep.
Nor will that song. Okay, number 9.
Number 9.
The Old Devil Called Love, Alison Moyet. There's no way that'll be in the
No. Yeah, it's
US
good to
top.
see Moye there. You never heard her name, but yeah.
This song I love. Number 10, Every Time You Go Away, Paul Young. What a great song.
That is a great song.
Love that song.
All right. I'm
Okay,
really curious
now
to see if there's any carryovers. Let's see.
yeah, number 1 in the US is We Are the World, USA for Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Madonna, Crazy for You.
Yeah.
Huge hit.
Yep.
Number 3, One More Night by Phil Collins.
Different Phil Collins song. All right, cool.
Yeah. Which
I'll take
was number 11.
I'll take Easy Lover over that any day, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But it was number 11 on the UK. It was just outside the top 10 in the UK, so there is that.
Yep.
Okay, number 4, Night Shift, Commodores. Love it.
Yeah, great song.
Great tribute to Marvin Gaye.
Yep.
Number 5, Rhythm of the Night, DeBarge.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, I'm on Fire, Bruce Springsteen. Great.
Oof, great song.
Number 7, Obsession by Animotion. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Number 8, Material Girl, Madonna.
Okay. 2 Madonna.
So that's 2 top 10s. Yeah.
Yep.
Number 9, Don't You Forget About Me, Simple Minds. Amazing. Love that song. Not my favorite Simple Minds song, but I love it.
Great song. Yep.
And then number 10, oh my gosh, this is actually funny. Number 10 in the US, Murray Head, One Night in Bangkok. We were just talking about that on the One Hit Wonders episode recently.
Yeah.
I mean, that song. And I was watching the latest episodes of White Lotus last night.
Yep.
And there's part of the scenes they're in. Walton Goggins is one. I love him. He's such a great actor. And Sam Rockwell, they're in Bangkok. And so then because they were there, what song was in my head all night?
Of course.
Like, please make it stop.
So I'm curious about a couple of things I'm curious about real quick, just observations.
Yeah.
How long were these 2 songs on the charts? And you don't have to look it up now. It's too much research, but Everybody Wants to Rule the World from Tears for Fears and Don't
Yep.
You Forget About Me from Simple Minds. Both huge songs, both of which I could see on both the US and the UK charts. I'm just curious at that point how long both those songs on had been released.
Yeah, funny you ask. In June of 85, because I'm looking down the line here, in June of 85, Everybody Wants to Rule the World was number one in the US. So it was just a little behind the UK, which makes sense because they were a UK band.
Yep, yep,
So that song eventually did hit. And
yep.
then probably hung around for a while. I was just looking down the list here. But, it's funny because the big difference between the US and the UK, in my opinion, is the US was dominated by more soul, R&B, dance music, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Madonna,
yep.
Commodores, the Bars, and Emotion.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, there's just some more. I would say the UK. I don't know anything about Phyllis Nelson, but I'm going to guess that she was. I'm going to put her in the category with Sarah Brightman as more sophisticated music. I don't know if it's jazz or vocal, but I would guess it's more sophisticated music.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. My big takeaway there is the UK probably had a little bit more of that sort of sophisticated style of music versus the US at the time was all about dance and fun.
You see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good experiment. I like it.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, last thing, you wanna go through some uncut?
Yeah, let's
Keep rolling down
do
our list?
I guess we'll do 5 more, right? Get this
Yeah, let's do 5 more.
trusty list up. All right, you got the mag?
I got the book. Yep.
All right, he's got it. All right, let's start with 190.
Alright, and, of course, I'm now continuing to have my head buried down so I can flip through here. 190, oh my gosh, we're back to Aphex Twin. I Care Because You Do. No idea. I'm gonna be a next on that one, but
Yeah, same here.
okay. Alright.
All right, let's shift. Hey, what about 184?
Alright.
Didn't go very far.
No, didn't go very far, and, this is Palace Music, Viva Last Blues. I know Palace Music, and I know this album, but I can't remember anything about it really, other than it's really um,
I don't know Palace.
morose, maybe.
Yeah, I know Palace Brothers, but I don't know Palace
Yeah,
Music,
I
I
think
don't
it's
think.
no, I think it's an offshoot of Palace Brothers. It's
Is
it's Will Oldham's stuff,
okay,
so I
okay.
think it's just a way
I
of being clever.
I know it's real, and Oldham's a very popular guy in the, um, indie sector, right? He's one of those guys. He's definitely a cult favorite, we'll say that. I just never acquired the taste. Doesn't mean I don't necessarily like it. It just means it wasn't something that just hit me in the way that it hits a lot of other people, but
Yeah,
could be something to check
it's
out.
kind of yeah, it's kind of like Mountain Goats for me.
Mhm. Yeah, same here.
I just
I li
I've
They're
listened
okay
to
if you
them. I've tried.
yeah, if you played it in the background, I think I'd be good with it, but it's not something I
Yeah,
would seek out.
right.
Okay,
All right.
what about 120?
All right. 120, Fugazi, In on the Kill Taker. No idea. I know Fugazi, but I've never listened to this album.
In on the Kill Taker. I'm trying to think. I do like Fugazi, but I'm more of a 13 songs repeater. Um, there's another one with there's another album too. I'm not thinking that that's one of my favorites, but there's really not a Fugazi album I didn't like. I will say The Argument, some of their latter day stuff didn't hit me as well. I've always liked Fugazi in the form of noisy but poppy enough to still have melody, and I love
Yeah.
their edge. I love Ian MacKaye. I just think he's an awesome dude. So I give it a thumbs up, even though it's not one of my favorite albums. I'm not sure about 120, but hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
so we're doing a little lackluster today. Let's
Yeah.
shift down to how about man, I don't want to eat up too many of these. What about 102?
All right. Well, 102. Okay. Well, I don't know this album as well as their classic Blue Lines, but this is Massive Protection. Or, I'm sorry, Massive Attack. The album's called Protection.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Protection.
great.
I
Fair
only
enough.
listened to that other album. Okay,
I think
good.
Blue Lines, Protection, and Mezzanine are all three. Mezzanine's actually
Mezzanine.
my
Yeah.
favorite. Mezzanine is my favorite.
Yeah.
And most people go for Blue Lines, and I get it. I like it, but Mezzanine
Yeah.
for me is
That's such a
darker,
great
it's
album.
deeper, and it's got kind of a Portishead to me has some more similarities with some of the stuff on Mezzanine. So, uh,
Yeah.
great album. 102. Once again, don't know about that, but hey, mad respect for him. What about 42?
Oh, 42. Okay. It's
Went
going to
straight
take me a
down.
minute to flip. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, we're getting to the deep stuff now. Oh yeah. Mazzy Star, She Hangs Brightly.
Nice. What can you
Yeah.
say?
A great album. I don't know that it would be number 42 for me
No.
for all of the 90s,
Yeah.
but it's really good.
It's a great album. It's a very understated album. And so I think
Yeah.
that's why it it's in the same vein as like the Cranberries and the Sundays and stuff that I love. The difference is
Yeah.
there's not a whole lot of variance with what they did.
Yeah.
It all kind of hovered in the same tempo, the same style. And I'm not knocking. I really like it. Six String Serenade is just amazing, and of course, Fade into You is great. Is a classic, honestly. But yeah, they just were kind of a little understated compared to some of their contemporaries, and maybe that's why I'm not as much of a fan. But I still like it. So yeah,
Still like it. It's great mood music. It's great. I haven't put it on in a long time, but it's kind of what you were saying earlier. It's good to have in the background,
yep.
and you could just relax to it, hang out on a Tuesday night, and just listen to that in the background while you're reading or something. I love Mazzy Star. I guess the one big takeaway as I think about it, even for the list that we just did, the top 10 for the UK, and then also for the Uncut, I think the UK listening overall, it's a little more serious than maybe in the US because
Definitely.
we've been going through this list and there's a lot of really mellow stuff in this Uncut 500 that we've been going through and a lot
Um,
more serious. Whereas I figure that the US 500, if it was a US magazine, the top 500 would have a lot louder stuff and more up tempo stuff, perhaps
I
more
think
grunge, more hard rock.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a little bit more serious. They're definitely putting more emphasis on some of the slower side of stuff that I actually like, and they're far
Yeah.
more experimental than anything you'll see. Like the fact that Aphex Twin is on there and Palace Music or
Massive
just
Attack.
Massive Attack. I love Massive Attack, but of the three, but I would say that they like things that are a little bit more edgy. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
to put
I
things like
would I
that
would agree.
in a top 500 or for us or for our purposes top 250, um, hey, I give them all the respect in the world because in many ways they're kind of ahead of where we
Yeah.
are, and
Yeah.
they take more chances, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, think about UK music in general, even
Yep.
some of the artists that we love. All right. Well, we'll keep rolling with that until someone tells us to stop. I think every now and then I would like to revisit that and go back 30 years, 40 years, 50 years and go, okay, what were the top 10 songs in the US and UK? It's fascinating to me to
Yeah,
look back at
it
and
is.
go, oh wow, I've never even heard of Phyllis Nelson. I have no idea who that is. I mean, that's so weird to me that a song from the 80s, an artist from the 80s that made the top 10 in the UK, and I've never even heard of her before.
Yeah. Well, I
I
think you're
mean,
right, though. I think there's a lot more. We're hearing a lot more that we expect to see on the list,
yeah,
or we at least have a pretty solid familiarity with, as opposed to some of the other stuff you're listening as. Like I've never even heard that song, that artist, whatever. So
no,
I think you're right. I think maybe the MTV era and just that being able to kind of cross it, go across each pond It was a lot
Yeah.
more available at that point than it was in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, because I don't know that Tears for Fears or Simple Minds would have ever made it as big in the US had it not been for MTV.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just
probably
I
not.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Definitely not Duran Duran. I mean,
no.
no question, MTV really gave Duran Duran. I mean, they may still have had some hits in the US for sure because they had great songs, but MTV gave them a great platform. But so many UK artists that I'm familiar with from the 80s were because of MTV.
Yeah.
Talk Talk.
Yep.
So many of those artists I never would have known about. I wouldn't have heard those on mainstream radio in the US, but MTV took more chances, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Aha, um,
Yep.
Men Without Hats, all these things. I mean, I think about them, Safety Dance. I mean, that video is hilarious.
Yeah, the world would have been better off probably without them. Aha, on the other hand, people that think that they're a one-hit wonder, you've
Oh, I
heard
know.
me talk about them before, and I know you respect them. They were amazing, and they were so big in Europe. They just never after Take on Me, they never recaptured the US market,
Well, going
and
back to oh, sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, but yeah,
no, no.
I'm just going back to the artist you said would have never broke the Duran Duran. Immensely talented, such a talented band.
Yeah,
It's funny because these two bands just came up. Well, one band came up on a popular Netflix show. Yeah, the guy was, and it was. I'm trying to. It's a very critically acclaimed show that we've been watching. It was just 3 parts. It's called Adolescence. Um,
oh, yeah.
yeah, it's huge. But they're in the car at one point. And he says, "Give me something with a good bass line," and his wife ends up playing "Take on Me" from Aha. And she goes, "Come on, you got to know this." And I was telling Becca as we're watching it, my wife, I said, "I would have played this," and I was thinking of Duran Duran, and what was I thinking of? Rio.
Rio.
If you do not, Shawn and I've talked about this before. If you've not paid attention to how good the bass is on that song, it's ridiculous. They were such a talented band. Um,
Yeah,
very, I think people see them as kind of like that 80s kind of synth pop band, and they were, but they were so
yeah,
much more than that. And same thing with Aha. Aha,
yeah.
I think Scoundrel Days is your favorite album. If you've not listened to that album, it is stellar. So,
It's
yeah,
stunning. I
thank
mean, it is just yeah, both of those bands too were cursed by probably a little bit by the video piece that people didn't take them as seriously because both of those bands, just from a look, they were both really great looking.
you. Yep.
I mean, they had the look. They had the whole thing, and I wonder if some people didn't take them as seriously because of that.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, they had the chops. I've got a friend who's a he's a bass player and a big jazz fan like you, and he's very eclectic in his taste. And he said Rio is the best rock bass line he's ever heard. That opening part that John Taylor, and that was their second album. I mean, John Taylor was probably 22 or 23 years old at the time
Yeah, isn't that
doing
crazy?
that. That wasn't the seventh album. That wasn't after he'd been touring for 15 years. I mean, they were really young when Rio came out.
Yeah.
And if you just I'd love to hear that bass line. You know how they do on those shows sometimes where they strip out all the other things and just hear that bass line
Oh,
isolated?
yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Like,
It would
if you
be
it's hard to focus in on because it's such a great song and there's so much
yeah,
going on, but I've been able to kinda just tune everything out, and when you see,
yeah,
I wanna hear him play it. Like, I wanna hear him play
yeah,
it live. I've seen them play live. I've seen them twice, and sadly, I haven't been close enough to really see, but and I don't think I would have paid attention back then. I don't think I would have known how good it was
right.
as I started to play music and started to play on my own. I heard that and go, "It's ridiculous what this guy." I mean, his fingers must be like 6 feet long. It was just
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, he is. He appears to be tall and slim, so I think, yeah, he must have had the ability to just well, even so it's a great bass line, but it's so hard to play. But then another bass line on that album, Save a Prayer, the bass in that
Oh,
song, I don't know if that's as difficult to play, but
yeah,
it's so rich and thick sounding. And
yep.
if you listen in on the bass to that song, it carries that song so well in the background.
Speaking of Duran Duran, there is a documentary out there, and it was I think it's a freebie on Prime or something. It is really good. They're cool guys. I mean, Simon Le
Yeah.
Bon at one point was probably one of the biggest sex symbols on the planet.
Yep.
Definitely in the music
Yep.
business. That guy is as funny and as down to earth as they get.
Yeah.
He's a cool cat.
He is. And John Taylor, same thing.
John's
I
awesome.
just they were a great match, and we'll wrap with this, but Nick Rhodes doesn't get much credit
No.
because he was the synthesizer guy. He was coming up with a lot of that stuff. A lot of the stuff that made those songs really hit
Yeah.
was Nick Rhodes and what he did with the synthesizer. He was just and I think he had a lot of influence from Brian Eno and people like that, but I think he was one of the great original synthesizers in rock music. And
Yeah,
then
I agree.
Andy Taylor was a hard rock guitarist trapped in a, pop band.
Yeah.
So, which actually made them even more interesting, right? Because he wanted to play a lot of guitar stuff.
Yeah.
And so that convergence of the synthesizer with a guy because a lot of synthesizer bands were just more synthesizer bands. They
Right.
had synthesizers, but then they had a guy over here going, "Wait a minute, I want to get my guitar riffs in too,"
Yeah.
So it made them. They had a nice run. I'm a
Yeah.
big Duran Duran fan.
Yeah. Totally
All
agree.
right, we'll wrap up here. I don't know what we're going to do for the next episode. I know it's going to be fun and exciting, but we'll have to talk about it this week, and maybe we go back to album each.
I think that's
next week.
typically just to let people know, that's typically what we'll do. Unless we have
Yeah.
something that just transitions into the next episode, Shawn will text me, "What do you think about this?" Sounds great. It's literally like whatever we feel like. So it's working so far. So let's keep it going.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks, everybody.